Hello everybody, welcome back. It is so nice to see you all here, because I can, of course, see you. I can see all of you. Today I'm going to be talking about a new release from Lamy, which is always fun for me. I usually get my hands on these pretty quickly, and this year was no exception. I've got the new 2021 Lamy Safari Origins. The Lamy Safari Origins series is a series basically re-releasing the original colors of the Lamy Safari from the 1980s, the terracotta and the Savannah. This year they're called Terra Red and Savannah Green, which makes sense because that's the colors that they are. In addition to releasing the pens, we've also got these really fun leather pen sleeves. I'm really excited to show you guys these up close. It is, just a Safari, but I actually haven't reviewed a Safari on this channel, so I'm going to take some time to talk about it a little bit. The Safari was my first fountain pen, so it's kind of got a special place in my heart. And there are fun things to talk about whenever a company re-releases an old model. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with the Savannah Green. So, as I said earlier, these both have extra fine stainless steel nibs. I have never minded the Lamy extra fine steel nibs. They're pretty nice, if not a little bit wide, a little bit wider than you'd expect from, a steel nib, especially in an extra fine. But, that just means it's going to be a little bit smoother, which I can't complain about. The flow is, pretty dry, as you'd expect. The ink I'm using is Sailor Wakauguisu, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly. And yeah, I'm a little biased towards these because this is really like a very similar pen to this. Is the first fountain pen I ever owned, which was a charcoal, matte Safari with an extra fine nib, but nobody's going to complain about this, I would say, unless you're looking for something super, super extra fine, which, if you're looking at European brands, you might want to be looking elsewhere. Here's the Terra Red, another extra fine. This one I find a little bit wetter than the first, and also a little bit finer. I don't know if that's just because of the ink, which is Ink Studio 973. Again, no complaints here, even on this, somewhat toothy Midori cotton paper. It's still a joy to use, especially, most people who are trying out a Safari for the first time, it's not their first fountain pen. So coming from like a rollerball or a ballpoint, this is going to feel, luxurious. But to most other folks, I would say it's a pretty average stainless steel nib. The fun of these, though, is the Nib Swap Ability, in my opinion. So I'll show you how I normally kit these two out. Actually, I had to put the steel nibs back on for this video, because I much prefer to use a gold nib. Now, here's how you swap it out. I would normally use just Scotch tape, but all I have at the hand is packing tape. Sorry, that's probably loud. Tear off a piece of packing tape, or Scotch tape, or whatever you got. Stick it to the top of the nib like that. It's obviously easier to do when there's no ink in the pen, but we're going off the rails here. And then you're just gonna pull straight off, and you'll see the nib just comes out in one piece. The tape is really there so you don't twist the nib, which is the number one thing I see people try to do. Actually, is like twist it off like it's a screwed-in housing. I'm putting on a gold oblique broad nib, which is gorgeous, and you just slide it on there. Takes a second for it to start flowing again, so I'm actually gonna cap this bad boy while I swap the nib on the other one. The nib I'm putting on this guy is also a broad nib, however it has been modified to a stub by yours truly. So I'm going to slide that on there, and there we go. Are these not a handsome pair of nibs? Very nice. So we're going to do a little side by side. of how you can upgrade your Lamy Safari's writing experience by putting on a nib that costs about 4 times as much as the pen. Oblique broad. So yeah, of course, these nibs are all hand-tuned in the factory in Germany, which means that they are going to write spectacularly. Nice wet flow, even with a relatively dry ink. I feel like you can even just tell by my handwriting that I'm having more fun with it. Obliques, of course, you can see I'm rotating the pen. If I try to write with it straight on, it's not going to work super well. But you got to rotate it at that kind of like 15 to 20 degree angle. The Lamy obliques are not super harsh. I'm lazy. I don't want to draw the whole nib again, especially with a broad nib. But yeah, lovely stuff. Now the Terra with the broad stub done by myself. Ooh. So yeah, I left it uncapped for a little bit, dried out a little bit, but nice little line variation there. I normally leave this nib on my dialogue, but for the purposes of this video, it's just super nice, juicy, stubby, not super crisp or anything. But again, a really nice way, if you just like how a Safari feels, but you want the nib to be better, I really like the option of just putting a gold nib on it. Not very many other brands are going to give you the option of doing that. So yeah, I hope that was a fun little, maybe unexpected look into nib swap ability on Safaris. And yeah, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed that look at some re-released pens. The vintage thing has kind of been a trend lately. Speaking of which, my next review will likely be a look at and comparison between the new Parker 51 that just came out and the old Parker 51, of which I'm a big fan. I've heard a lot of mixed things about the new Parker 51, especially in comparison to the re-release of the Lamy Safari. So I'm excited to show you all that. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.